Imagine sitting down with individuals who manage billions, not just millions but billions, their fortunes woven into the fabric of global finance. I've had the privilege of having such conversations, hushed whispers in luxurious settings, all centered around a rather unexpected topic, XRP. These weren't your typical tech evangelists, wide-eyed about blockchain and the promise of a decentralized utopia. These were seasoned players, veterans of economic battlefields, their fortunes built on recognizing patterns, understanding value, and most importantly, predicting the future. Their interest in XRP wasn't philosophical, it was deeply pragmatic. They saw in XRP something more than just another cryptocurrency. They saw a tool, a technology, with the potential to reshape the very arteries of global commerce. And their insights, honed by decades of experience, painted a picture of XRP's future far different from the narratives often espoused in the cryptosphere. The early days of cryptocurrency were fueled by a potent cocktail of idealism and technological fascination. Bitcoin, the progenitor of this revolution, emerged from the ashes of the 2008 financial crisis, a defiant roar against the perceived corruption and fragility of centralized financial institutions. Decentralization was the rallying cry, a vision of a financial system free from the control of governments and corporations, a system owned and operated by the people. Early adopters, often driven by a deep distrust of traditional finance, were drawn to the elegance of cryptographic security and the promise of a more equitable financial future. These were the pioneers, the explorers venturing into uncharted territory, their eyes fixed on the horizon, dreaming of a digital utopia. Their motivations, while noble, were often disconnected from the practical realities of global finance, a world driven by pragmatism and the relentless pursuit of efficiency. In stark contrast to the idealistic fervor of early adopters, the billionaires I spoke with viewed cryptocurrency through a different lens, the lens of utility. They weren't interested in philosophical debates about decentralization or the evils of traditional finance. They were interested in solutions, in technologies that could solve real-world problems, and, in the process, generate substantial returns. These titans of industry, accustomed to dealing with billions, recognized in XRP a unique value proposition. They saw its potential to streamline cross-border payments, to reduce friction in global trade, and to unlock liquidity on a scale never before imagined. Their perspective was not one of disruption for disruption's sake, but rather one of pragmatic evolution. They understood that the world runs on efficient systems, and that those who can optimize those systems stand to reap enormous rewards. And in XRP, they saw a catalyst for just such an optimization, a tool capable of transforming the very fabric of global commerce. To understand the transformative potential of XRP, it's helpful to look back at other technologies that have fundamentally reshaped our world. Consider the iPhone. When it was first introduced, many saw it as a luxury item, a sleek but ultimately unnecessary gadget. Yet within a few short years, it had become ubiquitous, fundamentally altering the way we communicate, consume information, and interact with the world around us. Or take Amazon, a company that began by selling books online but has since evolved into a global behemoth, revolutionizing retail, logistics, and even cloud computing. The common thread linking these seemingly disparate technologies is their undeniable utility. They solved real-world problems, made our lives easier, and in the process created immense value. XRP, like these transformative technologies before it, offers a solution to a fundamental problem: the inefficiencies of our current global payment infrastructure. The ability to move value quickly, cheaply, and reliably across borders is the lifeblood of the global economy. And XRP, with its speed, scalability, and low cost, is uniquely positioned to address this critical need.
What truly captivated me during these conversations was the realization that XRP isn't just about fast transactions. It's about redefining the very infrastructure of global finance. We're talking about a platform capable of revolutionizing the way we transfer value, creating a new settlement layer for the entire financial system. These aren't fleeting trends. They are transformative use cases, developments that could fundamentally overturn how business is conducted and how money is moved across the globe. This is the promise that has always anchored my belief in cryptocurrency. Because if you can reinvent the financial system's underlying plumbing, you're not just improving convenience, you're ushering in change on a scale even more profound than what Apple achieved with the iPhone, Amazon with e-commerce, or Google with search. This isn't an incremental upgrade, it's a complete reimagining of financial infrastructure, a foundation where it doesn't matter whether you're a multinational corporation or an everyday consumer. Everyone would gain access to a superior, faster, more efficient system built with an embedded network effect that far surpasses the limitations of today's antiquated structures. This precisely is what high net worth individuals are seeking. They are not chasing hype. They are not seduced by short-lived price pumps. They are hunting for platforms that demonstrate stickiness, network effect, and mass adoption, attributes that indicate a technology will embed itself deeply into the world of tomorrow. Without these foundational elements, a crypto asset is nothing more than a speculative bubble, doomed to pop. It is deep utility, not noise, that drives lasting impact, creating a gravitational pull that forces integration, because the alternatives simply can't compete. And this is why many of these sophisticated investors are gravitating toward XRP. They recognize that Ripple is meticulously building real-world utility into the cryptocurrency sector, crafting a solution that actually makes sense, both technically and economically. The core problem is glaring. The current global financial system is broken. It doesn't matter if you're moving $10 across town or $10 billion across continents. You are still operating on outdated, sluggish, and opaque financial rails. And the friction is felt universally by retail customers, corporations, and governments alike. It's not a minor inconvenience. It's a systemic flaw that anyone dealing with cross-border transactions understands intimately. The idea that there is an asset, a platform, that can fix this at scale is not just compelling, it's a revelation. It resonates powerfully because the pain points are so universally recognized. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. It's not just about transferring money faster. I had the opportunity to speak with someone deeply involved in monitoring and securing global payment systems, a person working at a major institution I won't name for confidentiality reasons. This organization, responsible for overseeing some of the most critical financial transactions worldwide, has recently transitioned their internal payment system to Ripple's technology. Why? Because they found that the transparency, efficiency, and security provided by the XRP ledger outperform the outdated legacy systems they had relied upon for decades. This wasn't a theoretical conversation. It was a real-world strategic decision by a top-tier organization after rigorous evaluation. Hearing this firsthand was a profound confirmation for me. XRP isn't just fast, it's exponentially better. It's future-proof infrastructure. One of the most compelling conversations I had was with someone who actively monitors the vulnerabilities across global financial systems. Their perspective was clear. We're not just here to fix existing problems. We want to get ahead of them. We want to transition to the best solution available. The fact that they are choosing Ripple's technology is extremely telling. And it's not just them. There's a broader shift happening across the industry. With the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit now behind them, many institutional players view that legal battle as a form of ultimate validation. Ripple didn't just survive the SEC's scrutiny, they prevailed, emerging stronger and providing XRP with a level of regulatory clarity that no other digital asset currently enjoys. High net worth individuals and institutional investors are now looking at Ripple and XRP with fresh eyes, realizing that this wasn't just a company fighting for survival. It was a company proving its legitimacy under the most intense pressure imaginable. Ripple walked away from that confrontation without a single blemish. And for major investors, that's incredibly significant. They see the SEC process itself as a form of institutional due diligence, believing that if the SEC couldn't find anything damaging after years of scrutiny, then Ripple and XRP must be as solid as they come. This combination of regulatory clarity, real-world utility, and battle-tested resilience is exactly why so many influential figures are now paying serious attention to XRP and Ripple. I've never before heard so many people from diverse sectors of finance speak so highly and respectfully about the XRP ledger and Ripple as a company. But beyond that, there was another fascinating piece of information I want to share. Not from my own analysis, but from insights provided directly by a former FBI agent and CIA agent during a security panel. They discussed obvious cryptocurrency security tips. Things like never posting your seed phrase online, never sharing your wallet addresses or your account balances. Common sense advice. But what truly caught my attention was a much less talked about danger: the vulnerabilities of self-custody. They warned of what's known as the wrench attack, a very real risk where someone, knowing you control significant crypto assets, could physically coerce you into handing over access. It's not a technological hack, it's brute force, and it's far more common than people realize. Both agents strongly advised against keeping cold wallets or hardware wallets at your residence or any personally accessible location. They emphasized that self-custody is an underestimated risk and that institutional custody, trusted, professionally secured third-party storage, is often a safer option for significant holdings. This perspective was striking, especially considering how common the mantra, "not your keys, not your crypto," is in the industry. But these security experts, who deal daily with real-world threats, unanimously agreed that self-custody is often more dangerous than people think, because it exposes you not just to cyber risks, but to physical threats as well. They had the freedom to discuss any topic during the panel, yet they chose to repeatedly stress this point. It's a reminder that while decentralization and self-sovereignty are powerful concepts, personal security must always come first. I found their advice deeply thought-provoking, and frankly, it runs counter to much of the prevailing crypto narrative. In conclusion, even though it wasn't a heavy news cycle this week, it was one of the most eye-opening and educational weeks I've had in a long time. It confirmed to me that the way we've been framing XRP, Ripple, and the future of crypto on this channel aligns precisely with how some of the most important figures in global finance view it too. And that gives me even greater conviction that when serious capital begins flowing heavily into this space, it's going to be aimed directly at XRP. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you found this update as insightful as I did. Stay tuned for more content this week as I release clips from these fascinating conversations.